It's your daily dose of Donna. Welcome to the show. Today is Friday, June 14th, and I am feeling hot, hot, hot because I am heated. I am so insanely revved up and heated over the Summer House reunion. You know, the title of this episode over here on YouTube was The Summer House Reunion is Wild. And right before I went live, I changed it to The Summer House Reunion is Wildly Frustrating. We have so many things to talk about, Summer House related. We're going to get into some weird Kyle Cooke and Southern Charm drama kind of connected. Also, some Bravo bloggers going at it. And we're going to, of course, have to mention just a little bit about Tori Spelling and her gross behavior, plus some more on today's extra special Friday episode of Daily Dose of Donna. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I am so happy that it's Friday, even though it has been somewhat of a short week. But I don't know. I'm just like feeling the Friday mood. I went out last night with some girlfriends. We went for some drinks and sushi for my birthday. It was really fun. So it got me celebratory, made me feel happy and good and grateful for good people around me. And you guys are part of that, by the way. You guys are part of those good people around me. Just a reminder, today's Patreon episode that will be released later, it's going to be really good because I've got some info regarding Kyle Cooke and some of those other things that are going to go. It's going to be really insightful on certain things that I don't feel comfortable sharing on the public show because it's a little more, personal stuff in DMs, etc. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but Rick and Kelly asked me to be on their Patreon episode this week. I think they just released it today. So I'll talk to you more about that experience. It was really cool working, not working with them, but like talking to them. Yeah, they were fun. They wanted to interview me and hear about my casting background and everything. So I'll get into that all on later today's Patreon episode. But we need to get into today's stories, which are just wild. And it's really a Summer House episode. I'm going to give you guys that. Before I say that, I will admit something. My name is Donna and I like Love Island. And I never actually thought I would. I never thought Love Island was going to be a show that I was into because I think I got so stuck on the first few minutes of the first episode last season and then again this season. And honestly, this season was like the first episode is hard. It's hard to listen to, it's hard to watch. Because really what happens on Love Island, I don't know a lot about the show, but what happens on the show is they introduce all of the new characters or the 5 girls and 5 men. And it's very squealy. It's very drunk girl at a bar when her friends show up. You know what I mean? It's very like, you're so hot. Oh my God, you're so pretty. You're so hot. Look at your butt. Oh my God. It's real hard to watch. So, due to that, it's been hard for me to get past the first episode. I never got past the first episode last season. But this season, I forced myself. I said, I can do this. I can do hard things. Okay. Glennon Doyle said it. So when I think of hard things, I think of getting through the first 30 minutes of Love Island. And I did it. And I got through it. And now I'm on episode 3. Well, I finished episode 2 and I have to watch episode 3. And I'm not going to reveal anything because I think you guys can probably catch up on Peacock over the weekend. But wow, I was like kind of invested. I'm invested in these people's lives now. Another show that I have to shout out again for because it's great TV is Perfect Match. So Perfect Match released, I believe, 5 episodes, and I think they're releasing their next round today. I could be wrong. As a reminder, Lance, my husband, he shot Perfect Match this last season, and he is watching it. And he said this is so much better than the first season in terms of just like the drama and everything. It's really good. It's really good. Now, the problem right now is I'm watching a dating show on Netflix and in a gorgeous location, Tulum. That's perfect match. And I'm watching a dating show in Fiji on Peacock. And what's happening is my wires are getting crossed. And I all of a sudden I'm like, wait, is Harry Jowsey on Love Island or is he on Perfect Match? Is like I'm struggling to remember who everyone is. Like I feel like I need flashcards. But as Mark Ward says in the comments, listen, Donna is doing the work. And that's what I'm here for. I am here to do the heavy lifting so you guys can just sit back, relax and enjoy your cocktail. I will listen to all the shitty, podcasts. I will watch all the horrendous TV. I will do it all for the love of the game, for you, for all of you. Oh my gosh, Danny says that Kate Casey gave Lance a shout out the other day and his work on the show. That is so sweet. Kate and Lance have gone way back. They know each other well. I love Kate. They were going to shoot a reality show together years ago. Okay, so Debbie says, I think I'm too old to like Love Island. Well, I'll tell you something. This morning, I got called out by my son because he got a new sliding mitt. What is it called? Like a when you're sliding in baseball, whatever. And he got it from a friend for his birthday and he wanted something silly and it's Elmo, which is really funny because he's 9. Obviously, he's not into Elmo, but he thinks it's the funniest thing ever. And so he put it on this morning. He's like, Mom, what do you think? Do you think my friends at camp are gonna like it? And I said, Yeah, it looks dope. And he goes, What? Dope? Oh my gosh, Mom. People don't say dope anymore. What? You're so old. And Dylan goes, Ugh, the older one, he goes, Ugh, millennials. And I thought to myself, what do people say now when they say something's cool? They say drip. They say apparently W Riz. I don't really understand that one. Okay. The point is, when we were younger, things were dope. Okay. What did you guys used to say? Like we would say, that's so sick. That's sweet. That's dope. And every time I think about the word dope now, I think about, do you remember that Saved by the Bell episode when they were like, don't do dope? Don't. Don't. Every time I say don't, I think of Joe Biden when he did this, when he was talking about, I think he was like, I can't remember who he was speaking to. I don't know if it was like during when Iran was shooting rockets into Israel, like something like that. I just remember when someone asked in the press and they were like, what do you have to say about this? And Joe Biden looked at the camera and he goes, don't. So now I always do that with my kids. Don't. It's a great gif. Miss Robinson says, that's the bomb. Yes, we used to say that. We used to say, that's the bomb. Bomb.com. I love it. Okay, you guys, before we get into the first story about Kim Zolciak, I want to shout out that this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. As you know, I'm a big proponent of therapy. We're going to talk a little bit about that and about depression and mental health when we get into the summer house of it all. But I will say is, depression, anxiety, any sort of mental health struggles really should not be dealt with alone. We should be able to talk about it. We should be able to go to someone that can help us with it. And BetterHelp is a great opportunity. We all carry around these different stressors, big and small. And some of us can, lash out. Some of us can't get out of bed. Like there's so many different ways that these things can weigh you down. So therapy is a great thing to think about. And if you are not lucky enough to have a therapist that you already know that you see in person, consider giving BetterHelp a try because it's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. And you can do it all from the comfort of your own home and find your therapist. Even if you don't like the one that they match you with, you can always switch for no charge. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Donna, that's DANA, today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Donna, DANA. All right, let's keep going. Guys, Kim Zolciak is being considered for a new reality show. Okay? That's really, that's not dope. Kim Zolciak is being considered for a new reality show that could land her, this is the best part, a $1 million payday because this show, according to TMZ, is all about moving out of your house. Now, she is in, as we know, I'm going to pull up the article on my phone. It'll just be easier this way. She is, as we know, in heavy debt, right? Like we've heard that she owes American Express this, she owes Target this, she owes the and Tori Spelling really actually Tori Spelling needs to be considered for the show as well because I feel like it would fall into the same category. Um she's in a massive debt crisis amid her divorce. I don't know if they're getting divorced or not. I don't think anyone really does. But TMZ reported that Croy is okay. Whoa. I don't know if it's Croy or if it's Kim because in one paragraph it says Kim and then it says Croy. Up for a part on a show from Hulu about people trying to get out of a house. The series is called Got to Get Out, which was first announced in September 23. Um, she would apparently join her Real Housewives of Atlanta co-star Cynthia Bailey. Oh, God. I don't know about this. Production sources told TMZ the series would blend famous people and regular folk as they compete for a pile of cash, which could amount to a whopping $1 million. I guess The Hills veteran Spencer Pratt is also up for this show. Oh, this is getting worse and worse. I love Spencer, but like, what? The site also said several celebrities have already landed in Toronto for a 10-day shoot for Got to Get Out. I'm confused. I thought this would be about, oh, okay, here's what the show is about. The contestants live in a mansion for 10 days and battle for a pool of up to 1 million in prize money. The amount goes up $1 every second. Contestants can either stick together and split the cash at the end or take the money and run. Kim has had very large financial issues in the past few years, which has forced her to sell some of her designer handbags, this article says. Um, and she's at risk of losing her home. So when I heard the words got to get out, I thought it was a house say like selling show where they were like, we got to get out of this house and sell this house. But I guess it's not. Now, the show sounds horrendous. It also reminds me a little bit of that show, The Trust, which lasted, it was one season. That's what one of the girls on Perfect Match, Tolu, she's from The Trust. And it's something along the same lines where like you have to trust each other and do you want to stick together or do you want to get people off? And the more people you get off, the more money you have at the end. So it feels very, very similar. Um, yeah, I don't know how much we can believe from these things. I wouldn't be surprised if Kim Zolciak did a show about, finding the best. I mean, Kim Zolciak will be on Storage Wars by the end of the season. Like Kim, I don't think Kim says no to anything ever. Well, okay. But the point is that she's going to be on a new reality show and we're going to have to suffer through it. And listen, I go low and I watch all the shows for you, most of them. But this is one I don't think I can watch. Okay? Just putting it out there. Another person, another reality star who is always in the shit. And this is actually like literal is Tori Spelling. We haven't talked about Tori Spelling in a long time. Do you guys miss her? We haven't talked about her in a while. She is still doing her um what's it called? Podcast, Misspelling, and I kind of got over it. Like I tried. I listened to a few episodes and I felt like at the end of the day, I felt like it was just getting a little bit boring, right? It was like, okay, enough is enough. Like how many times can we hear her talk about like what a mess her life is and how discombobulated she is? Now, funny story. Um, oh, do I want to share it or not here? Okay, well, she posted a picture. I'll say it this way. She posted a picture of her son graduating 5th grade. And the reason why I'll talk about it is because she posted it. So she posted it with her son Finn and her. And one of my friends who I was with last night also had a 5th grader who graduated from the same school, from the same class. And in all her pictures is Tori and Tori's son. Like they're everywhere in these pictures. It's interesting. Um, okay, so there has been a story of this that she has trashed her $15,000 a month rental home. But now she's coming out and she's saying, Okay, well, I'll first tell you the first report because we didn't talk about it. On Daily Mail on Tuesday, there was a report that said Tori Spelling vacates her 15,000 per month LA rental with her kids after 7 months, but not before trashing the property and dumping soiled furniture and broken toys on the street. Okay? Apparently, she has moved out of this Woodland Hills property, and they're saying on this that she was trashing the house. Neighbors were outraged by the mess the Beverly Hills 90210 alum left in her wake. Because obviously in this cute little suburb of Woodland Hills, $15,000 a month. I mean, it's not a cheap home and it's not a cheap neighborhood. And there was just crap all over outside of the house, discarded furniture, cushions, other household items, etc. Um, okay. Also, pet carriers, a random DVD video, kids' toys, and more. And one neighbor said the smell of urine is everywhere on the couch cushions and inside the home. There are marks all over the walls from who knows what. It's completely trashed. Just look at the big dumpster they had to bring in. It's been filled up several times since she moved out on June 1st. Okay. We all have our thoughts about this, but let's first go into Tori Spelling's rebuttal, which she says on her podcast, she had her temporary housing manager, Katie, on her podcast. This is weird. I don't understand what that means. Do you guys have a temporary housing manager? Is this something we should all have? She insists it was totally false to imply she had left behind the smell of urine and marks all over the walls. As for the furniture photographed outside the house, Katie, her housing manager, clarified that it was a couple years old and getting rid of it had nothing to do with the actress and her 5 kids. Katie says, "You've been a great tenant and I have nothing but good things to say about you and my experience with you. I've never seen anything so ridiculous in my life. We replace furniture all the time in these properties. This is actually crazy to me that anyone would take the time to take pictures of a debris pickup in the city." Um, Spelling went to admit that she is not the cleanest, most organized person on the planet. She calls her life messy and chaotic. But then she says, "We lead with our hearts, and I would never trash somebody's property." Okay. I'm just going to say one thing. I have talked to too many people in my DMs, you guys, and too many people in my own life who know her and who have been in her home to say that she is completely off base here if she's trying to say that she lives a clean life. You guys, she has so many animals. Think about how stressful it is to move properties if you're a child and a human being. Like, imagine if you're an animal. A little dog is not going to know immediately where to pee and where to poop when they move into a new home. Not all animals are just like immediately good at that. I know when I bring my animals to friends' houses, they tend to sometimes pee and poop inside because they don't know the lay of the land, right? They don't feel comfortable running around and going outside. So unless you're walking them all the time, I imagine dogs are probably making, urinating in the house. Okay. This is just like the way it is. And I imagine that Tori and her kids have like probably like guinea pigs too and other animals. I just feel like they're that kind of family. So I'm going to say that they're probably correct that this house was trashed a little bit. Sorry. And all I know is that I have a neighbor here. Actually, they just moved out. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's family lived like for 30, 40 years here near my house, okay? Next door. And I like they're such a kind couple, but they're older and they wanted to downsize. So they moved out of their house, but they've been there 30, 40 years. So they had a lot of furniture that they put out on the street for a debris pickup. And I'll tell you, like, it did look a little bit like a hoarder's paradise, but it was just mostly wood furniture and this and that. But I remember feeling like you can smell, I guarantee you, Tori Spelling's couches that were out there probably did smell like urine in the sun. Okay. I'm just putting it out there. Now, good for Tori Spelling. I have no idea where she's going to move. I mean, this woman, the drama follows her. It follows her. Now that I got those 2 stories out of the way, we need to get into Summer House, and we need to first get into this Kyle Cooke story that has been going on online, and I gotta stand up for my girl at Face Reality 16, Eliza, because we were in the DMs all last night. Okay. If you guys don't know the story that I'm sharing, basically, we talked about this a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago, how this footage showed up in Eliza's DMs, and it was from someone, and it was of Kyle Cooke canoodling. That's a good word, right? Canoodling with a girl at a bar, Lamar's, who happens to be Leva's husband, at a bar late at night on November 11th, something like that, right? Okay. Then she posted not only the video, but she posted all these DMs that she got from this woman who was at the party, at the bar, saying Kyle was hammered, he was making out. And then the next day, we saw him at the event and he acted like he had never even been to that bar. All I'll say is this, listen, if Kyle is actually out there cheating, which is alleged, right? And has been and he has admitted to cheating. So this is not like a wild story. I don't think Kyle cheating on Amanda is a wild, like, pull it from thin. We're not like talking that Kyle is secretly, into like some weird fetish and it comes out of nowhere. Like, this is someone who has admitted and has continuously cheated since he was 16, right? He talks about this on the show. Face Reality is doing exactly what she does, which is, deep diving and exposing. And I like her. I find her to be a legitimate source. I don't think she posts things because she sends me a lot of stuff that she doesn't post. I don't think she posts stuff unless she feels like pretty confident about it. Now, that being said, um, you have to remember, like, we have Amanda's back by doing this, by talking about this, by doing this. Like, we want Amanda, his wife, to see these things. Because I think actually what's worse is knowing or hearing that someone is cheating and just like keeping it quiet and silent. And it's tricky when you know someone's cheating. Do you tell their partner or do you not? Like, you don't want to break them, you don't want to hurt them, but you also don't want to keep the secret. It's very tough. It's very, very tricky. Okay. Now, yesterday, I go on Instagram and I'll show you guys the post, the account Queens of Bravo, which, do you guys remember just yesterday? I mentioned here, I said, don't you guys think it's a little strange that some of the big accounts, Bravo and Cocktails, Queens of Bravo, like, haven't posted this video? And I thought it was strange. And then out of nowhere, let's share the screen. Out of nowhere, Queens of Bravo posts this, saying Leva sets the record straight on the video, insinuating Kyle cheated on Amanda. Okay. They said, we got the receipts. And here's what they posted. And it's really, really, really long, but I feel the need to read some of it at least for you. Okay. Now, I want you to recognize what we're looking at here. It's a screenshot of a DM that Leva sent to Face Reality 16. So I was so confused when I first looked at the post because I was like, wait, am I on Face Reality? No, I'm on Queens of Bravo. How did they have this post? So essentially what happened was Leva sent this DM at 4:45 p.m. I want to say Eastern. That's when Eliza at Face Reality saw that the DM came in. She was picking up her kids, she was doing her thing, whatever. And then she came back and this was already posted. Like, Leva sent this DM and immediately sent a screenshot to Queens of Bravo, which confuses me heavily here. Because did we not just go through this whole story that Teresa and Jen Aiden on Jersey have this in with bloggers and send things to bloggers and Instagram accounts? Leva is clearly showing that she has an in with Queens of Bravo. Like, why is Leva sending a screenshot of a DM before Face Reality 16 even had a chance to respond? She had it like it was instant that she sent this to Queens of Bravo. So let me read it to you guys, part of it already. She says, hi there. Since I'm seeing that, so remember, this is from Leva to Face Reality 16. Since I'm seeing this all over the internet, I wanted to chime in about the situation, given I was present for this entire interaction and evening and can't stand by and watch the internet go after someone's marriage when it's based on zero facts. Actual facts from Leva. Leva's facts. I was in Lamar's with some of my friends when I got a text from Joe Bradley. That's the guy that works for her, that's on Southern Hospitality, telling me he wanted to bring Kyle to see our new spot, and I was happy to have him. This is Kyle Cooke in the video. He came into Lamar's this evening between what I think was a meet and greet event and a DJ gig here in Charleston. Joe and Whitney brought him in to see our new space. There are many accounts claiming he was drunk, which is a lie. Of course he was drunk, you guys. What? I was able to show him around, have a pretty extensive conversation with him about some of the things we have both been up to recently, and I introduced him to my husband, who he also had an in-depth conversation with. I also introduced him to some of the key people in my life, and we had a cocktail or two. Nothing crazy. In the video, he is speaking to a woman who is a good friend of mine and also happens to be a decade-old friend of Kyle's. Let me also mention that this girlfriend of ours is in a very committed relationship, and she came by my club to meet me for a drink before we went home together. It's just so happened that she got a chance to catch up with Kyle for a maximum of 5 minutes before we left. She prefers to remain anonymous since she is not part of the reality community, as she is a very accomplished and respected person in her field. Kyle and our friend were simply catching up on life since she now has a family and has established herself in the profession. Kyle was congratulating her. This was purely a friendly interaction. I am not usually one to comment or message blog accounts, but this was something I had to comment on. In this instance, I'm really disappointed as this type of rumor is very damaging to a person's marriage. I think Amanda is a lovely person and I'm a big girl's girl, so I would hate for anyone to try to hurt her. Okay. Especially since she was not present for a simple, innocent conversation that her spouse was having. It really upsets me that this is being spun into something more than a friendly, hey, I'm proud of you, buddy conversation. I thought you should know the facts from a person who was there. Sincerely, Leva. Okay. I should let you know that Leva has since blocked Face Reality 16. Okay. Now, I want to bring up a couple things. Chelsea says in the comments here, and this is really important, that in Dumois' podcast, she mentions receiving many blinds about Kyle, but doesn't post them because she likes Amanda. Kyle, if he is not cheating, he is engaging in horrendously inappropriate behavior that this rumor follows him. Again, we can say this about every single person on these shows. You don't hear rumors that Crystal Minkoff was cheating on her husband, okay? You don't hear rumors that I'm just trying to think of like someone who is in a good marriage on these shows. Mm, the list is very short. The list is very, very short. But you don't hear rumors about people who are not related to these like bad behaviors. You don't get the rumors about them. I don't believe what Leva's doing is 100% entirely, in my opinion, and you guys know I give my opinion, so you can disagree with me 100%. I think Leva is protecting Kyle for some reason. Either she's protecting Kyle or she's protecting this chick because there's too much weirdness here. Now, meanwhile, Leva is going on the record and posting this long ass DM and then sending it to Queens of Bravo, knowing that they were going to post it. Okay. But I believe, in my opinion, that is not a receipt. In my opinion, that simply is someone trying to defend their friend, which, by the way, like Leva's word isn't Bible. And so for me, I wonder, why is Leva doing this? Why is she putting her neck out for Kyle when Kyle is living his best life in Italy, partying and getting drunk at Andrea's wedding and not saying a damn word about it? What is going on here? Kyle's at the wedding without Amanda. Amanda, meanwhile, is home showing content about Boys Lie, the clothing company, which is what Ariana wore after the scandal broke. Showing her hands playing with her dogs without a ring on. Fine, okay, she's home. Maybe that's normal. And um and also yesterday finally posted something else on her stories, and then she ended up putting it on her grid. And what that said was it was about her mental health issue, which she talked about on the show. And that said, For some of us, simply existing is hard for what feels like no reason. It can be very frustrating, defeating, and overwhelming. If you are struggling in any way, talk to someone. You may feel lost and alone now, but I promise you are not and you are loved. Asking for help is the hardest yet easiest part. You got this. And Amanda posted that on her grid in the with the caption saying, posting this to the grid because I am currently sobbing at all of your beautiful messages and feel others would benefit from seeing them as well. Love you guys. Okay. Amanda and Kyle, from what I'm seeing, has not liked that post, by the way. Amanda is not liking Kyle's posts when he's out in Italy. So why is Leva involving herself? Like for what? Now, maybe there's some sort of storyline that she's trying to promote. Maybe she's trying to it doesn't track for me, and something feels a little confusing to me. It's not like Kyle is saying like, "Listen, hey, I see these rumors." Okay. Secondly, I did hear, and this is, I'm not gonna I'm not going to necessarily uh, say that this is Bible, but I've heard many, many people infer that Leva and her husband are also there's like a history there also with affairs. So something feels weird. Kyle is got his hands in the press. We know this now from Dumois. We know that she said on her show that Kyle has reached out to business associates of hers to remove blinds about him. He went to Betches with this like fake. A source close to the couple says that they're totally fine. Kyle is not okay with like Kyle's very, very invested in what people are saying about him out there. And I believe that he probably has some sort of strange power that he's able to get people to do certain things. Last night's episode of the reunion of Summer House was a clear and obvious example of Kyle having some sort of pull. I don't know if he's the producer of the show. I don't know if it's because Bravo does, in fact, because of the Bethany clause, own part of Loverboy if they do indeed sell it. Something's happening here. And it was maddening to watch last night's reunion episode. So if you were with me and you felt insane when everyone was going haywire on Lindsay in part 2, not saying Lindsay's perfect at all. Oh, at all. I would not want to be like in a fight with Lindsay ever. But I felt like I was going insane to the point where I started the show last night. And yes, I had had a couple drinks at dinner, but I started the show last night and I got so frustrated. And I thought, oh my gosh, is the wine in me like making me see things differently than what they're really being? Because I don't know if I can watch this. Like, I was so mad at the girls, specifically the girls last night for going after Amanda. I mean, going after Lindsay, that I turned it off. I was like, I'm getting really too upset. But then this morning I watched the Peacock version, which is actually the best way to do it. It's the uncensored and extended version. And wow, we've got a lot to talk about. Before we get into the Summer House reunion entirety, I do want to shout out OneSkin as another sponsor of this week's Daily Dose of Donna. I don't know about you, but I am ready for summer. As you guys see, look at me. I've got sleeveless shirts on all week. Okay, halter tops today. I'm wearing shorts. I am wearing shorts, and it's not even a skirt. It's shorts. I'm ready for summer, but my skin, that's another story because it burns easily and it's dry and I get all these sunspots. So thankfully, I got OneSkin, and right now they have this new limited edition bundle. Their summer skincare essentials, which includes their daily moisturizers and a broad spectrum sunscreens for the face and body. Like I said, I've been using it myself, and I've been now using it for my kids, and they really enjoy it because it goes on and it gets into your skin. It absorbs into your skin really easily and really fast, and it doesn't have a strong smell. It's great. It doesn't burn their eyes. So for a limited time, our listeners get an exclusive 15% off OneSkin. Your OneSkin purchase using the code Daily Dose. That's one word, Daily Dose, at oneskin.co. As summer heats up, give your skin the UV protection, hydration, and cellular support it needs with OneSkin. Um, okay. Wow. Okay, like, so layered. Okay. Let's go through the reunion. At the end of first part of the reunion, we kind of left off with Sierra and West. And remember, West was just he was even off in the second part. Like he was making all kinds of faces and he just didn't seem like himself whatsoever. He was on Nick Vile's podcast yesterday and I listened to a portion of it. I didn't listen to it all. And he felt so much back to normal. But on this reunion, I don't know if he was on something. I don't know if he took like a Xanax or something. Like he was just not himself on that episode. So the episode starts with everyone kind of talking about Sierra and West again, and Sierra being, open and getting emotional that she still has feelings for West. West is shocked to hear it because he probably thought that she hated him. And, Kyle said, I would ship Sierra and West if they got back together. I don't think they'll ever get back together personally, but it did actually look like Sierra really was hurt and broken by West. Paige's line, and listen, I love Paige so much. I don't love how Paige goes after Lindsay in every reunion. It really upset me. But I love Paige so much. And her line that said, because Andy said, you literally said you would kill West if he hurt Sierra. And she goes, well, not literally, because I'm scared of jail. I mean, how relatable. How relatable. Okay, so move on from Sierra and West. We then go on to a conversation that pissed me off beyond, 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 beyond. And this was about Kyle and Amanda. Guys, I don't know about you, but I felt like this was a summer. This was a summer house season I thought was going to be all Lindsay and Carl. But I felt incredibly interested and also very like involved and very invested in Amanda and Kyle's relationship and their breakdowns in this season. We had the huge Paige and Sierra yelling at Kyle episode, okay, where she's like, I see her cry. Is that high level? I see her cry. I never forget that moment. Um, we had the whole scene where Amanda was talking about how she wants to start something of her own at Old Navy that day, and then went and asked Kyle about it, and he lost his shit, and he yelled at her and called her an effing bitch and then went off and cried like a baby, okay? We also saw another episode where Kyle went out until 3, 4 in the morning, and Amanda was pissed at him, and then he went and did that again later that weekend. There was a lot of energy this season focused on Kyle and Amanda's marriage and their breakdowns and the fact that she wants to move to the suburbs and he's not ready to do that. And that he says, I don't want to babysit my lazy wife. And I'm just going to go off and be a DJ. What the? I want to say a bad word. What the FUCK were we watching last night when Amanda and Kyle got a solid 3 minutes on the reunion focused on their issues? And it wasn't even on Kyle. It was focused on Amanda and her depression. And let me tell you something. There's so many things wrong here. Amanda, bless her heart for opening up about the fact that she does struggle with mental health and she does struggle with depression. Bless her heart for doing that. It's a very vulnerable thing to do. It's very hard to say out loud. And the fact that she does that and normalizes it or makes people out there feel like they are not alone is a blessing. Most people, I remember when I first started sharing about my panic attacks and anxiety when I was younger, I remember so many people saying, "Oh my god, the fact that you had these things make me feel so much better. Like I feel like I can get through this too." She talked about the fact that she's on medication. I have always talked about that antidepressants have been such a lifesaver for people, including myself. I am a huge fan of normalizing mental health struggles. This is where there is a problem. Number 1, when has Amanda not been depressed in her relationship with Kyle? Do I think am I so crazy to think that being with Kyle does not boost her morale in any capacity? Being with Kyle feels like it is maybe instigating or creating more depression for Amanda because she doesn't feel supported. She doesn't feel supported. She doesn't feel like she has a real true partner. Okay. She has a gossip friend. She has someone that she can gossip with. Brittany says on The Valley, Brittany says that she hasn't thrown up since she left Jax. And if you were watching the end of The Valley, those last years or those last few episodes, she was throwing up all the time. Like, that's really weird. Something's wrong with you. But she says she hasn't thrown up since she left her husband. Amanda may need to get rid of her husband since being with him has not in any way helped her struggle. In fact, if I was open enough with my husband and I said, Lance, I am feeling so depressed and I don't feel like I can get out of bed and I don't know what to do with this and I'm really struggling here and I'm this and this and that. And he went on a show on a camera for national TV and straight up said, I'm scared to move to the suburbs with you because I feel lonely in our marriage. Then the next scene says, I think you're lazy. Then the next scene says, all you do is, sit at home and you're never productive. You never want to leave the house. And then you say, you're an effing bitch. And then what? Have we ever seen on camera Kyle being really, truly vulnerable and supportive to his wife? Have we? Other than apologizing when he fucks up. He does that a lot and then he cries like a baby. But he never goes to her and says, Amanda, um, like I'm so worried about you. I want you to be happy. What can I do? How can I be there for you? When and this is not just on the show, you guys, because on the after show, which was filmed months later, he's talking about these fights and he's telling the cameras and the producers and Carl, who's with him, that Amanda's lazy. She is lazy, he says. Now, meanwhile, he tears down her idea of starting something new. And look, I'm not going to lie. When Amanda said, and now we're a year out from last summer, when she said, well, I haven't figured out yet what I want to do with my life. I get it. Like she's clearly not a super driven, ambitious person. It's clear, right? I think everyone can see that. But he has meanwhile gone out and started DJing. He's doing what he was kind of like giving her shit about, basically. Oh, you want to do that? Well, then I'm going to go and be a DJ. When he just said to her that we can't spread ourselves more thin when Loverboy is failing. No, now he's a DJ. And the grossest part about it is her saying, like, I think it's cute. Oh, it's so cute. He takes his producer and DJ classes in Brooklyn or wherever the hell he goes. Ew. What? She said she had severe depression post her wedding and before her wedding. And she said she had severe depression, all-time low after BravoCon. Remember, this is not Bravo. I think she's talking about BravoCon 2022 because that was before this season. Like, they went to BravoCon 23 after they shot this last season of Summer House. Amanda, in my opinion, will never leave Kyle, no matter how many of these rumors come out. I would love to see a difference. I want her to separate with him more than anything because I think he actually makes her more lazy. Like, guys, this is so bad, but I really did see one thing that I thought Bethany really made sense about. Bethany, on Instagram, I opened up Instagram and there was a reel that just, like, it was the first thing that came up, and it was her making some sort of sandwich wrap saying if she stayed in her first marriage, she wouldn't be where she is now with her business, because being married to this man who was able to give to her a lot, who was financially more secure than her, who let her kind of just, be supported, was the reason that she didn't have the drive that she ended up having. Like, she needed to be out in the depths of the world, like having no money in her bank account, struggling financially, struggling for her to have that drive and that hustle and that hunger for Skinny Girl. And to me, maybe that's the case. Maybe once she gets rid of Kyle and breaks up with him and is left alone to deal with everything, maybe that's when all of a sudden we see this kind of like incredible level up for her. Like, oh my God, Amanda's killing the game in her business and her life because now she's like not just letting Kyle run the show. It's interesting. The fact that Andy Cohen, are you listening, Andy Cohen? The fact that Andy Cohen not once said to Kyle, why did you call her a fucking bitch? Why are you treating her this way? Don't you think it's like pretty crazy that you're treating her this way? Now, remember, do you guys remember this over on, I just posted it on my account today. Do you guys remember this on Watch What Happens Live when Amanda was on the show? Check it out.
You an effing bitch. And what conversations did you have after you watched the episode?
We watched
together.
No, we don't watch together.
Oh, okay, good.
We didn't really talk about it. Yeah, I think that there's a bigger conversation to be had.
Your conversation, your reaction watching tonight's episode when he was crying in the car.
I mean, like, I love that man, so it always hurts me to see him cry, but I don't know why I didn't really care that much.
Oh, you didn't care?
I feel bad. Like, I love him, so
Right.
it's like sad, but I was like, come on, I should be crying. You're not supporting me.
Okay. Where was that conversation on the reunion? Why didn't we get it? Is it because they're planning on breaking up in this next season of Summer House and we're going to get it in that house? What is happening here? Amanda and Kyle presenting this united front on the show last night when she was like, listen, can you imagine saying this about your husband? Unfortunately, I love him. That's what she says. Unfortunately, I love this man. Guys, what? Also, Kyle's whole bullshit about the idea that we're going to move when our kids are old enough to ride a bike. I'll tell you one thing, and I don't know about you guys, but once you start having little babies and you start joining the mommy and me's and you start putting them into daycares or preschool or whatever, way before they're riding a bike, and you start developing your family and your friends in that neighborhood and you get into a routine, you get a nanny, whatever. That's like the hardest time to move. It's never going to happen. What is happening here? And why did Andy let Kyle off the hook? Pissed. All right. Then we talk about, we had like a cute little Jesse and Paige moment with a hand on the knee. How cute was that? Why do I think that Paige actually does like Jesse a little bit? Am I insane? Like, I actually feel like Paige and Jesse have a flirty thing. Like, I've never seen Paige so touchy-feely and so laughy with another person on the show. Okay. Then we get into a conversation about Lindsay. Now, what you guys didn't see if you watched the regular version, and maybe you saw it online because people have been posting, is that in reality, the conversation about being sober, while it did feel wild in the moment to watch the beginning of the season, episodes 1 and 2, when Lindsay was getting hammered and going after Carl and saying like, "Are you even sober?" When we saw that in real time, it felt like, ouch, ooh, that's bad. But the reality is, you guys, Carl is not sober. He is alcohol free and cocaine free from what we know. There is nothing sober about this man. Okay? He smokes weed. He did mushrooms the week before the show. And Lindsay brought that up. And God knows what else he's doing, guys. Like, who knows what else he's doing? So, for Lindsay to say it felt like you were on something is not that wild. And the women on the stage and Kyle were so tough on Lindsay for saying that and for quote unquote weaponizing his sobriety. But Carl has made his sobriety his main storyline on this show for years now. He talks about being sober. He goes on stages and tries to educate people about sobriety. He wants to go and get into businesses surrounding sobriety. It's not okay. Am I crazy to think it's not okay that he wants to go out and talk about the fact how gay he is. How I mean, gay. Oh my god, I didn't mean that so I did not mean to say that. Literally, I'm putting it on Andrew. I looked at the comments and Andrew said, so true, or they're gay too. Oh my God. You guys, I'm dead that I just said that. Oh my God. So here are the comments. Look, NYNCP says it is not for you to judge his sobriety. Very disappointed in you. I'm out. Bye. Unsubscribed. Okay. You can unsubscribe from me. That's okay. If this upsets you so much, please leave. That being said, why is it not okay for us to judge his sobriety? Because he talks about this on the show all the time. He talks about his sobriety on the show. It is a huge part of who he is. I'm not judging him for being sober. I'm just saying that is not the definition of sobriety. It's not. And I think there's a lot of true sober people in my comments right now who are saying, like, you are misusing the word. It's not okay. Like, it kind of diminishes being truly sober, in my opinion. Interesting. Michelle says, thank you. I've said that to loved ones that are addicts. Trust is totally broken and it takes time for us to believe you. Sorry, that's part of your dealing with your sobriety. When someone is sober and acts in a way that feels very out of character, but has had issues and has had actually dabbled in things, in my opinion, like, it's a normal question to ask. Sorry. Like, I don't know why. Maybe I'm missing the boat here on this, but it is. I mean, okay, imagine if someone decides that they're not drinking caffeine anymore. They cut caffeine out of their life because caffeine was giving them all these like horrible side effects. And then they come into your room one day and they're like, oh my God, the craziest thing happened. And they were acting really like hyped up. Would you be so crazy to be like, you're acting like you drank caffeine? I don't know. I just like, what is the true definition of sober? You can say alcohol free. Sober, I mean, let's look it up. This is like seriously confusing to me because I don't want to, sober meaning. What is the meaning of a sober person? Not having had an alcoholic drink or taken drugs for a period of time. Yeah. I mean, it's drinks and drugs. Okay. So she immediately apologized. Now, I want you guys to remember this for calling him Cocaine Carl, whatever. And by the way, she didn't say he looks like he's on cocaine right now. She said he's acting like Cocaine Carl, which, just a refresher from any of you guys that have ever watched the show in the past. The reason why the cocaine stuff came out was because of Mr. Cooke, Kyle Cooke, when he was working at Loverboy. He brought that shit out. And so, like, for Kyle now to kill Lindsay for just talking about it, it feels there's something behind that. He hates Lindsay so much. Kyle hates Lindsay. Thank you so much. Okay, you guys are getting a lot of good, you guys have a lot of different comments that are really interesting. And I want to say this, like Jennifer says, it deserves an apology and she apologized. So yes, in this moment, Lindsay said, I'm sorry for calling you that, but I'm not sorry for feeling confused why you acted so erratic to me in that moment. But Lindsay cannot do anything right with these people. It's weird. It's weird. Why do they hate her so much? Like, I get it. Yeah, she's toxic. She's wild. She's loud. She says what's on her mind. Like, she has been activated. Like, she's had a bad past. We've seen it all. Amanda went so hard on Lindsay. Amanda and Kyle were just like, meh, 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 like yelling at Lindsay over everything she said, making fun of her, mocking her, making her feel like shit, like going after her so hard. And even Lindsay at one point was like, Kyle, why are you being so nasty to me? He's like, it really rubbed me the wrong way. Okay, it rubbed me the wrong way the way you handled the press after the breakup. What the fuck? Like, what is going on? Now, mind you, and I feel like I'm crazy here, because mind you, Carl and Captain Lee. Do we want to talk about that in a moment? Carl and Captain Lee had that big fallout last week. We talked about this. And at the truth of this is that if Captain Lee had this experience with Carl, it is very possible that Lindsay had this experience with Carl. And like for some reason, Carl is babied on the show with this cast. And honestly, Paige bugged me in this moment. Aw, Carl. Aw, sweetie. Carl was like, listen, I'm this, or like said something a little bit self-deprecating. And Paige is like, wait, Carl, you keep talking so badly about yourself. Like, you should not do that. And he's like, have you seen the way that the press treats me? Have you seen the way the internet treats me? What? And everyone was like, Carl, aw, baby. Then he said, I have not kissed one person since Lindsay. I have not had anything with anyone. And everyone's like, sweet boy. Aw. And then when he said, like, I'm involved in a business to start a cafe and like a sober bar, and Paige is like, that's so nice. What is happening? Because Paige is tough as balls on her boyfriend. And I cannot wrap my head around the idea if Craig came to Paige right now and didn't have a job the way he does, didn't have multiple businesses, wasn't as successful as Craig is, and went to Paige in this day and age, even older, and said, like, I'm thinking about starting a business that is, and it's like being an actor. Remember, Carl wanted to be an actor. Paige would laugh in his face and break up with him. Like, what is this babying of Carl and this villainizing of Lindsay? It did not work for me. It felt very, very weird. But the worst part about it, in my opinion, was Andy. Because Andy let Kyle off the hook and Andy went so hard on Lindsay. And my opinion is that Andy doesn't like Lindsay. And I don't know why, because he doesn't have a show without Lindsay. I think if Lindsay left Summer House, it would not be as good. But in my opinion, Andy really doesn't like people. Well, I think one of you guys DM me, maybe Michelle, that Andy doesn't like people that call out production. Andy doesn't like saying people when they say production made me do it, or this was a produced moment, or whatever. And so when Andy said, listen, I spoke to production, they had no idea that they were coming there to film a breakup, I'm going to call bullshit. I don't know if they knew they were going to actually film a breakup, but I think that they knew that they were going to film Carl saying, I don't want to get married. Like Carl at that point he decided at that point that he wanted to go to Lindsay and say, I don't want to get married. Whether or not Lindsay was going to accept it, they didn't know. I think the fact that Lindsay just said, okay, you've made your decision, so there's nothing else to say, and walked away, made this a breakup. Carl was going to say, I don't want to get married. And he expected Lindsay to fight back. But she was fighting back in a very, very calm way. And it still went this way. Now, Lindsay said on a podcast that the day after this breakup happened on camera, Carl called her and said, should we go to couples therapy? You guys, he didn't maybe want to break up. He wanted to like say he didn't want to get married. And I think he wanted her to like fight for him. But she was like, no, F this, because she was over him too. And at the end of the day, production is expensive. Calling to pick up cameras is expensive. You guys, that's not an easy thing. I know this from having Lance in the business. Even if all you need are 2 cameras, a couple camera assistants and a producer or whatever, these are people's salaries. So you're paying them, whatever, $800, $1,000, I don't know, per day, union benefits, whatever, anything that they're doing there. You're paying for, you're getting the gear. You're producing a show. This is not a cheap endeavor. It's not like it didn't cost this cost production thousands of dollars just to shoot this scene. They're not, and this is 2 scenes, by the way. They also plan to shoot the Kyle and Carl conversation earlier in the morning. This was planned. Production does not come and get picked up for any other reason other than major issues. It's happened 3 times in the last year. Scandival fallout, Kyle and Mauricio breakup, and the FBI and Jen Pedrante's fiance on OC, and Carl and Lindsay breaking off their engagement. You don't bring cameras to be like, "How you guys doing? You good? You good?" And also, this comment really is interesting. Page comment. Juanita says, Paige commenting on the money Lindsay and Carl have coming in. How does she know the dollar amount? Well, Carl and Lindsay did talk about I should say Carl did talk about the dollar amount on the show. But am I crazy to think that Lindsay is not off base here with the fact that she wants her husband, her potential husband, her future father of her kids, to have a job that's not being an influencer? I don't know about you guys, but I would not be turned on by a man who was an influencer solely in his 40s. Like, that's not for me. And I don't think it's for Lindsay. I don't think Lindsay wants to date a guy who depends, who only makes money from how many followers they have. Like, she wants a guy that like has a career, has a business. And I don't know. I don't know. You guys, it was really, really maddening, very frustrating to watch. I don't think they were very nice to Lindsay. I thought Lindsay got a really bad episode. I'm sorry. I know, like I said, I don't love her so much, but I really, really did not like the pile-on for Lindsay. I didn't like Amanda and Kyle commenting on her relationship when they come from the most effed up marriage you've ever seen. Swear. Not ever, but like it's a pretty bad one. And I didn't like Sierra and Paige popping in with their comments about it. Like the only ones that were really out of it for the most part were West and Jesse and Danielle. Danielle like said one word the entire episode, but it was upsetting to watch. Now Lindsay, meanwhile, has released she got an article with Rolling Stone, and I don't have the entire
Bitch.
sorry. I don't have the entire article here, but this one click is really important. It says Kyle Cooke had a lot to say to you during the reunion. By the way, she did this interview when she was in Italy, so this is just this week. Kyle Cooke had a lot to say to you during the reunion. In one of your many contentious moments, he said that Carl's dismissiveness towards you was all in your head. What did you think about that? Where do you stand with Kyle now? And this is Lindsay's answer, and I love it more than anything. I cannot stand when a man tries to tell a woman how she should feel or not feel. I also think that Kyle isn't Carl's mouthpiece. Carl can speak for himself. This is not Kyle's fight to fight. He has his own stuff that he needs to worry about. Walking away from that, I was just like, bro, what are you doing? Where's your apology to your wife for calling her a fucking bitch? I would love to hear that. Kyle loves to police apologies, but then not give them. So I don't think he's one to talk. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys. I really don't like Kyle Cooke at this moment, like for many reasons, many, many, many reasons. I don't trust him. I don't like him for Amanda. I think he's bringing Amanda down. I think he was a jerk to Lindsay. There's problems here. We have problems in the Summer House house. So you guys join Patreon so I can give you a little bit more insight on that night that Kyle was allegedly cheating on November 11th in Charleston. Plus, we're going to talk about Rick and Kelly and more on the Patreon this week. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend. Bye.